Chapter 17 of Angel Food for Jack and Jill, Little Talks to Little Folks by Reverend Gerald T. Brennan. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Maria Therese. Chapter 17 The Boy Who Saved Christmas. Eddie Moore believed in Christmas. He knew that Christmas was the birthday of Jesus, and he also knew that Santa Claus visited the homes of children on Christmas Eve and left presents. Now, Eddie's mother was too poor to buy presents for the boy, but the little fellow was sure that Santa Claus would take care of everything. He wanted Santa to bring him a sled, a drum, a red auto, and a box of candy. Eddie felt that those 4 things would make him very happy. The little boy went to bed early on Christmas Eve. Before he went to bed, he hung his stockings from a shelf in the kitchen. Then he said his prayers, and soon the boy was sound asleep. All through that long night, Eddie dreamed about sleds and drums and red autos and boxes of candy. The next morning Eddie awoke very early. He jumped out of bed and ran to the kitchen. There the boy found his stocking just as he had left it the night before, and the stocking was empty. There was no sled, no drum, no red auto, no box of candy. Eddie was heartbroken, and how he cried! The boy was puzzled. He couldn't understand why Santa Claus had forgotten him. Without a doubt, Eddie Moore was the saddest boy in this whole world. After Mass, Eddie met some of his friends. Of course, they all talked about their presents. Eddie listened but said nothing. He felt worse then than when he found the empty stocking. While they were talking, one of the boys said that Santa Claus would be at the Firemen's Club that night, and that he would have more toys and presents. Eddie's eyes sparkled and his heart beat faster. Eddie wanted to go to the Firemen's Club. He wanted to see Santa Claus. Perhaps this time Santa would have something for him. The Firemen's Club was near Eddie's home, and the boy's mother agreed to let him go to the Christmas party. That was good news for Eddie, and the boy lived in hope through that long Christmas afternoon. Surely, he felt, Santa Claus will not forget me again. That night Eddie went to the Firemen's Club with a shining face and his hair well combed and brushed. His heart was light and happy. The boy entered the club and sat alone. He listened to the music and singing, but kept his eyes fixed on the tall Christmas tree that stood in the center of the stage. After some time, sleigh bells began to ring. There was silence in the hall, and then cheers as Santa Claus walked across the stage. He carried a large bag filled with toys and presents. Little Eddie stood up and his heart pounded within him. He heard Santa call the names of boys and girls. Now, there was one thing that Eddie didn't know. He didn't know that the boys and girls called were all children whose fathers were firemen. Eddie saw Santa Claus give skates to Tommy, a doll to Helen, a football to Johnny, a drum to Ted. Some boys and girls received more than one present. In fact, some received 3 or 4 presents. And finally, Santa's big bag was empty. Eddie Moore was the only boy in the hall whose name was not called. He was the only boy in the hall without a present. Twice in the same day Eddie had been forgotten, and for the second time Santa Claus had broken the little boy's heart. Eddie cried and sobbed and started for the door. As Eddie walked down the steps, a strange boy touched him on the shoulder. "You haven't any present," said the stranger, "and I have 4. Here, take this." And he handed Eddie a package. Eddie was so excited that he couldn't speak. Quickly, he tore off the paper that covered a box of candy. When Eddie saw the box, he could hardly believe his eyes. Candy was one of the things he wanted. Eddie turned to thank his friend, but the strange boy was gone. That night, when Eddie knelt down to pray, he said a prayer for a strange boy whose name he didn't know. Then Eddie jumped into bed, and he was very happy. But there was another boy who was happy too, the strange boy who had saved Christmas for Eddie Moore. Children, I think you understand very well the lesson of this story. Be kind and generous to others. If you want to be happy, just do a good deed for someone. You don't have to wait until Christmas to do that good deed, either. You can do a good deed today. Perhaps your good deed will save this day for some broken-hearted child, just as the kind act of a strange boy saved Christmas for little Eddie Moore. Chapter 18